As Russia mourns its ambassador to Turkey, we're going to weigh the reasons and the consequences of it. Turkey's president squarely blaming the same supporters of US-based cleric Fethullah Gulen, whom Recep Tayyip Erdogan accuses of masterminding last July's failed coup attempt. With the assailant shouting out, "Don't forget Aleppo, don't forget Syria," during the killing, we're going to ask our panel what or who put the off-duty policeman up to it. How much of it is related to Syria? Syria, where Turkish troops have, in large part, gone in to stop Kurdish militants from gaining too much power, but are now suffering increasing casualties in fighting with Islamic State radicals. Are Erdogan's priorities shifting? Just when Turkey and Russia had buried the hatchet, does the assassination of the ambassador make Turkey's president beholden to Moscow? Then there's Vladimir Putin himself. Now that Aleppo has fallen, how will the killing in Ankara impact his vision of Russia's role in the region? Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at Erdogan's pivot, and with us to talk about it, Editor-in-Chief of Rai Al-Um. We're used to seeing him from London, and he's here with us in Paris, Abdelbari Atwan. Always a pleasure.
Pleasure to meet you.
All right. Thanks for being with us. From Strasbourg, Faik Gazikai, representative for the Kurdish-rooted opposition HDP party at the Council of Europe. Welcome to the show. Welcome as well to Talha Koze, research director at the SETA think tank, who joins us from Ankara. Also with us in the Turkish capital, France 24 correspondent Jasper Mortimer, the France 24 debate, where you can join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter, hashtag F24debate. Russia and Turkey in agreement. They say that the assassination of Andrei Karlov was a failed attempt to derail that rapprochement between Moscow and Ankara. Martin Pollard has the story.
Remembering one of their own. Memorial services for Andrei Karlov were held at several locations across Moscow this Thursday, including at the Russian Foreign Ministry. There, leading figures from the Kremlin paid their tributes to the former diplomat and offered their condolences to his widow and wider family.
We pay homage today to Andrei Karlov, our friend and comrade, who was the victim of a cowardly and despicable terrorist act while exercising his professional duty.
The former ambassador to Turkey was shot dead on Monday night in Ankara by 22-year-old policeman Mevlut Mert Atlintas. A team of over 100 from the Ankara Police Department are working together with 18 Russian officials to investigate the killing. The Russians say more time is needed to establish the facts. But Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has blamed the assassination on exiled cleric Fethullah Gulen. Gulen denies this.
Let us blame and defame Gulen one more time, as the Turkish government did during the December 2013 corruption probe and the July coup attempt.
Both Turkey and Russia have reaffirmed their strong diplomatic ties over the last few days. But some analysts are less convinced that Ankara will come away unscathed.
The assassination of the ambassador is very likely to make Turkey change its attitude on the Syrian issue. Russia will be more dominant in its diplomacy and will ask Turkey to make more concessions and move closer to Russia.
It's not yet clear whether the killer, who was shot dead by special forces following the assassination, had any links to a militant group. So far, more than 10 have been detained in connection with the killing.
I'll begin with you, Abdelbari Atwan. We heard that analyst in that report saying, as a result of this killing, Russia is going to be more dominant. Turkey will be more beholden to Russia. Do you agree?
Yes, I do agree. I believe Erdogan will exploit this assassination in order to strengthen his relation with Putin, strengthen his relation with Russia. I think he is actually in a very, very difficult situation internally and externally. I believe he will be closer also to the Russian point of view vis-a-vis Syria.
But the analysts saying it will be an uneven relationship, that Moscow will have more leverage over Ankara.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. But they know Erdogan now is very weak. They know he needs them. And we have to remember that Erdogan actually went to Moscow and he apologized in a very humiliating way to Vladimir Putin, in order to restore the relation. So
after the downing of that Russian
Russian warplane. So I think the man now is panicking. I'm talking about Erdogan. He is panicking. He hasn't got a vision, and he keeps changing his position, political position. Just 2 weeks ago, he said, my forces in Turkey is to topple Bashar al-Assad. Today, he said, no, the priority for Turkey is actually to fight terrorism and the Islamic State, not to topple Assad regime. So in 2 weeks, we had a completely different version. So now he is weak. Putin is very clever. He would like to manipulate this weakness in order to control Turkey and to take it away from the Western camps, from United States and from Europe. So this is the turning point here. And it seems Erdogan is very submissive. He is actually saying to Vladimir Putin, okay, I am with you, and let us go to do it together, especially in Syria. And this is a huge turn from the president of Turkey on the Middle Eastern politics.
Taha Koze, do you agree?
No, I don't agree on this position because, Turkey and Russia are trying to reconcile their relations for the last several months. And this relationship enabled the Euphrates Shield operation of Turkey. So there's already increasing diplomatic relations between Turkey and Russia in economic fields and in energy cooperation. And because Turkey's allies in the West abandoned Turkey, especially in their support to continuous support the YPG in the northern Syria and other regime elements in Turkey. Turkey tried to increase its diplomatic relations with Russia and trying to resolve the Syrian issue more in coordination with Russia and handling the security issue in Turkey's border, especially in the fight against the PKK, was another important issue. So in those issues, Turkey and Russia are coming close to each other.
All right, so they have closer economic ties, you're saying, but does this assassination weaken Erdogan's hand vis-a-vis Vladimir Putin?
I think we shouldn't see the situation in this way. And both leaders declared that this assassination is not against Turkey, but it is or Russia, but this assassination is trying to weaken the ties between Turkey and Russia in this issue. Turkey already changed its position in the Syrian issue by increasing its coordination, at least with Russia. So this movement, these diplomatic connections are the continuation of this movement, and I think this the further coordination between Turkey, Iran, and Russia is an important turning point and game changer. So I think this issue, this unfortunate event, is not the turning point. They already decided to, the foreign ministers already decided to discuss this issue in Moscow, and they discussed the issue, and they decided to initiate a new process.
Okay, so this one issue is not going to derail a process that has already begun, you're saying. Let's look at the assassination itself. It was an Associated Press photographer, Burhan Ozbilici, who watched the whole scene unfold and filmed it. The 22-year-old policeman, his name is Mevlut Mert Altintas, standing alone behind the ambassador and then opening fire, shooting Andrei Karlov 9 times before later Turkish special forces took his life.
Pointed his gun toward people. I think he was asking people to disperse, to go away. So we went back. I directed my camera, took his photo, and so I continued to shoot. I continued to shoot. Then I saw people running away in panic. I saw immediately Russian ambassador on the ground, on the floor. We could not check if he was lifeless, dead, or simply injured.
Jasper Mortimer, what's the latest so far on what we know about the assassin?
The latest is that, he was a 22-year-old policeman. He had been in the police force, the riot police unit, which is used to crush demonstrations in Turkey, for 2.5 years. When it comes to the investigation now, the Russians are going to have access to his phone records and try and piece together who he was in contact in the days and weeks before he carried out Monday night's killing. Both Russia and Turkey have said that they're going to look into the possibility of a mole in the Russian embassy having helped Altintaş. The Turkish police have released Altintaş's family members. They detained his mother, father, sister, and 2 or 3 uncles very soon after the assassination. They've released them now, but they are still interrogating 6 other people. These are his colleagues in the police force and his teacher at the police academy.
Here's the puzzling bit is we've seen media reports that say that he took a leave of absence on July 15th. He'd been stationed in the southeast in Diyarbakir, and he remained off duty even though everyone had been recalled to service after the failed coup. Any more on that?
Yeah, look, the most important thing after the failed coup, I think, is that in October, along with thousands of other police officers, he was suspended on suspicion of having links to the Gulenist organization. But then 5 weeks later, in November, he was reinstated in the Turkish police. Now, I'm sure that before he was reinstated, the authorities went through his records very carefully. And I find it hard to believe that if he were an ardent Gulenist, he would have survived that inspection that he must have undergone before being reinstated in the police in November. And for this reason, I'm extremely skeptical of all the theories that he is in the Gulenist camp. And I'm very glad, actually, that the Russians are taking part in this investigation into what happened, because I think we're much more likely to get to the truth with Russian detectives being involved, because they will be less likely to put the blame on the Gulenists, which is politically convenient for the Erdogan government.
Faik Yagizai, let me get your reaction to those words he said. Don't forget Aleppo, don't forget Syria.
He wanted to give an image that he is taking the revenge of the attacks of the Syrian regime and the Russians on Aleppo. And with this, he wanted to draw attention on the Gulenists. So I think it is very it's very early to say that it's Gulen behind this, or it's another Islamic group behind this, or it's a conspiracy that maybe some intelligence services has arranged. It's very early to define this. It is the simplest way of Erdogan to escape the responsibility, to point out the responsibility of Gulen. I think politically we should wait for the result of investigation of the Russians and the Turkish authorities, and then we can find out.
Abdelbari Atwan, people love conspiracy theories, don't they?
Yes.
They love plots. They love to think that somehow people are manipulated by others. We have no hard proof. Could it have just been one guy on his own, upset at what he saw in Aleppo and thinking this was the way to act?
No, Francois, I'll tell you, there is another theory. There is a communique by Al-Nusra Brigade, which is, very radical Islamic faction fighting Assad regime in Syria. This statement said that he was belonging to this organization. He was a member of Al-Nusra Brigade, and he carried out this kind of attack in order to revenge what happened in
But if that were true, he must have been radicalized in a hurry, because you heard Jasper Mortimer say how investigators went over his file before reinstating him.
Yeah, because, what they found in his house, actually, they found a literature of Al-Nusra brigades. And also, they found also some books of Fethullah Gulen, the exiled preacher. So we don't know yet. But what amazed me, from the day one, President Erdogan said clearly it was Fethullah Gulen who was behind this assassination operation. So it is amazing. Now I look today, actually, I looked at the American reaction and the Russian reaction. They are very cautious. They said we have to wait until the end of the investigation, and we are not going to commit ourselves to any theory or any accusation. So it is clear that, they don't buy this, actually, the official version of the assassination. They don't want to believe that Gulen behind it until there are concrete evidence that actually he was behind it. So we have to wait and see why and who is behind it, and why in this time, and why they assassinate, why they killed the killer. This is why they did not actually capture him, arrest him, and after that, see who is behind him.
Which is something that's being probed, by the way, by Turkish authorities. When we come back, we're going to see what is the impact on the Syria situation, on the U.S.'s role in the region. Stay with us. You're watching the France 24 debate.